AskReddit by Chacha Davids. Following the post about what movie is stupid but people act like it is deep, what movie seems superficial but it is actually pretty deep. The Search for General Tso. It's ostensibly about the origins of the popular chicken dish. But it's much more. Oh man, I found this pretty deep lol. Mainly the fact that when Chinese immigrants came here, they connected with associations that would send them to a new town with a menu that would appeal to the Western audience. I'm Chinese and I've always wondered about these restaurants called Chinese restaurant everywhere. It's always too sweet and greasy. Megamind really took me by surprise. I thought it was just a silly cartoon, but a lot of themes in it were really deep for me. This one really stands out in this thread. Even people who really like Megamind don't give it enough credit. A truly great film about what it means to be good, and the power of choice. Lots of layers when you begin thinking about the choices and roles of characters besides Megamind and Metro Music Man. Also the satire of the nice guys fucking savage. Clueless. As if it actually is. But I'm a cheerleader. Yup, there's a lot of social commentary going on in that one for sure. Starship Troopers probably fits that bill. Or Robocop. Both could be seen as mindless gory action films, but they both have some interesting social commentary. Definitely Starship Troopers. When everyone at the end cheers at It's Afraid. You were not supposed to be cheering with them. Guys, I understand a lot of you watched this movie when you were like 6 and it was just blasting bugs. But shit. I do not have the time to educate you on the satire of this movie because the entire movie is satire. Watch this. https://www.youtube.com/watch?voc-edit3ue5m&am/ab_channel red letter WALL-E is a bit deeper and prophetic than you'd expect on the face of even a Pixar film. I read a short story called THR Machine Stops by Forrester for a class about a year ago. After we finished it, we all said that it reminded us of WALL-E. The professor said that every single class he has read this with has said that. He has no evidence to suggest it did serve as inspiration, but he also has no evidence to suggest it doesn't. Josie and the Pussycats. Great satire that is unfortunately already dated for pop culture references like Carson Daly, but I still feel is worthwhile viewing for modern youth. Everyone knows Josie and the Pussycats is totally jerkin. Galaxy Quest. Everybody went into it thinking it was some cheap parody of Star Trek. Even the cast members of Star Trek and fans of the show went into it ready to rip it apart. Upon seeing it though, they realized it is such a profound love letter to the genre and so well done. Bring it on. For a movie about teenage cheerleaders in the height of the American Pie era, it turned out to be quite an in-depth and frank analysis on racism in sport, sportsmanship, disenfranchisement, white privilege, white guilt, cultural appropriation and so much more. What a savings. Groundhog Day. Some fucking idiots miss the point of it completely. The reviews about it being boring or repetitive make me weep. Deleted. The original Total Recall. Is the whole movie reality or a recall? The very ideas call into question our own perception of reality because we only have our brain to rely on for memories, and if those memories can be changed. Arnie goes into Recall to have an exotic trip to Mars where he meets a Biotefiel women, discovers aliens, and saves the planet. This seems to be when breaks out of Recall and then goes to Mars, meets a beautiful woman, discovers aliens, and saves the planet. Could the escape from Recall just be part of the memory so he integrates it seamlessly and it feels real, or did it really happen? That's because it's a decent adaptation of Philip K. Dick. And Philip K. Dick was the original master of existential memory identity cyberpunk. Bridesmaids was a great portrait of depression. I saw this in theaters while in town to serve as a bridesmaid in my brother's wedding. B. Working in a jewelry store and barely scraping by. C. Going through a bad breakup. I'd never felt so understood and seen by a film before. Still one of my all-time favorites. Legally Blonde. It's sad this is so far down. First of all, fucking funny as hell movie regardless. Second of all, the entire movie is about a woman who decides to go to Harvard Law School despite literally every single person in her life telling her she can't. Messages of self-confidence, hard work, willpower, the drive to succeed, to have faith in people and yourself, and to try not to judge others. I remember watching Children of Men thinking it was going to be a meh action movie. Watched this about a year ago. Totally blown away. The reaction to the baby in the middle of war is one of the most authentic things I've ever seen. People generally love babies now. After not having seen a baby for 18 years? Yeah, that's gonna be the reaction. To quote another great move, life finds a way. Oh, remember that Click movie with Adam Sandler? Came for another goofy family man movie, ended up having an existential crisis. Lol, my girlfriend makes fun of me for it, and rightfully so, but Click is one of the few movies that makes me cry. I feel like such a jabroni that an Adam Sandler movie is one of just a few on a short list of films that makes me tear up, but there it is. Legally Blonde shaped a whole generation of little girls. Living in the deep south, I genuinely thought that every girl would get pregnant just out of high school after getting married or never have a relationship. There was no in between. I saw movies like Legally Blonde and M's Congenitality helped me see that while my beauty had value, my mind was worth much more. This was the answer I wanted to see. Elle Woods represents a lot more than her marketing, well before Barbie could. That was a big manly envelope to push and she did it so well. What? Like it's hard? Dogma. Seriously underrated comedy that has decent functional conversations about religion and belief. Came here to say this. It's a great one. American Psycho. A satirical look at American consumerism and conformity that people either write off as being violent, sexist schlock or misread into thinking Patrick is some super sigma male when he's actually a huge loser who is so bland nobody can even remember his name and face. He's not so much a loser as a guy who fits perfectly into a yuppie Wall Street guy mold, wearing the same clothes, same accessories, same haircuts, behave the same and have the same values, which place stupid details on a pedestal, for example the business card scene. Deleted. Mean Girls. I love Mean Girls, one of my favorite films of all time, and in my opinion a good contestant for best comedy ever made, but I don't know if I would call it deep. It's very clever and sharp, but does that translate to depth? I don't know, maybe. 500 Days of Summer. That movie had a surprising amount of interesting things going on. I feel like it's one of those ones where people think you're supposed to empathize totally with the main character, when really it's an excellent deconstruction of the manic pixie dream girl trope. Inside Out. Lego Movie. Barbie seemed like just a superficial comedy in the trailer. I bawled during that movie. All 3 times I watched it in the theater. Much deeper than expected. Was just going to say this. Me and Hubs and one of our adult kids, the other 2 weren't interested, saw it on a lark because he had some leftover free movie passes. It was definitely funny, and I enjoyed the nostalgia and the over-the-topness. But, was sideswiped by the deeper storyline running through. I did, in fact, cry. And almost never cry at movies. Really well done film. Swiss Army Man.